Welcome to the Fox 54 Weekend Review. I'm Kenesha Dees. North Alabama is growing at a rocket pace. Fitting then that we start in the Rocket City with growth at the world-famous Space Camp. We'll then move on to the grand reopening of Joe Davis Stadium and a look at how city leaders plan to ensure a strong infrastructure in areas earmarked for future growth. Well, Huntsville is home to Space Camp, but Space Camp just got a little bigger and better with the addition of its newest state-of-the-art facility. Fox 54 was able to get a preview of the building before the official ribbon cutting this Friday. Our Nixon Norman was there, and here's what she can show us.
This building is going to be an absolute game changer for our Space Camp programs.
Right above the entryway to this state-of-the-art facility reads, "Through these doors walk the world's future scientists, astronauts, and engineers."
This is the Space Camp Operations Center, sponsored by Boeing. This is our brand new building here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. We are so excited to cut the ribbon on this incredible new facility.
The Space Camp Operations Center was built to add on to the overall experience of Space Camp, but it was also built to fulfill a need. This year, Space Camp is set to operate at full capacity after the pandemic. This summer, an estimated 900 to 1,000 people will be making their way around the Space Camp campus on a weekly basis.
We were busting at the seams. Space Camp, you know, we formed in 1982, so this program has been going on for 41 years with additions over the years with our programming and our spaces, but this is truly an expansion for the future. We have a building that has 10 new classrooms, dedicated space for all kinds of activities that we absolutely didn't have before. We have a beautiful new auditorium that we will be able to hold our Space Camp graduation ceremonies in, and a building that we can share with the public when our Space Camp students aren't using this for their programs. So it's just, you know, an amazing addition to our community, certainly an amazing addition to the Rocket Center.
And look, Space Camp was already cool, but this just makes it that much cooler.
Space Camp was an amazing, cool experience. Now we have the building to help showcase how incredibly amazing this program is.
For more information about the new Space Camp Operations Center, visit fox54.com. Nixon Norman, Fox 54 News.
This evening, the newly renovated Joe Davis Stadium was previewed to the public ahead of Huntsville City Football Club's home opener this Friday. Our Sedona Meadows was there, and Sedona, I understand there was a special ribbon cutting ceremony ahead of the open house.
Yes, Kenesha, there was lots of excitement and anticipation tonight as the community came together in celebration of the newly renovated stadium. And they got some neat previews before HCFC's first ever home game taking place this Friday.
It's the grand opening of this cool stadium.
This iconic venue has undergone a remarkable transformation, and a lot of the people behind me here are the ones that really made this happen. We have evolved to a state-of-the-art facility that will serve as a vibrant hub for a wide range of events and activities that will enrich the lives of our everyday citizens.
After 14 months, the $34 million renovation of Joe Davis Stadium is finally ready to welcome the public.
We want you to know this stadium will be a tremendous asset to the citizens of Huntsville. We have been talks of hosting college football here, and with the size and features of the stadium, we think it'll be a great experience for athletes, coaches, and fans.
The stadium will act as a venue for all sorts of events and games. But tonight, after the official ribbon cutting, the focus was on Huntsville City Football Club as they welcomed hundreds of fans inside the stadium ahead of Friday's first ever home game.
I can't imagine what it must feel like to be part of something as historic as today, to be around when your team gets its first stadium for its first professional soccer team and be part of that. And it's important, everyone who's here today, you know, you remember that as you grow older, as your kids grow up, you were here on that momentous day when this stadium opened.
Fans were not only able to check out the stadium
And seeing where we want to sit, I think it looks really good, and I think they did a really good job on it.
but witnessed the launch of the club's first home uniforms, got to meet the players, and check out some of the amenities.
There are so many people smiling tonight, and it's just so rewarding to see Huntsville come out and love our soccer team, just really appreciate our squad, and appreciate the return of Joe Davis Stadium and Wicks Family Field.
This week, the city of Huntsville authorized an agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates, a North Carolina-based infrastructure consultancy firm, to look into the future development of West Huntsville along Interstate 65. Dennis Madison, the city's manager of urban and long-range planning, says this is the next step in an over decade-old plan to organize business development projects. Residents may recall that Huntsville has annexed land in Limestone County over the last decade. Manufacturing plants and warehouses like Mazda Toyota and the Amazon Fulfillment Center along Greenbrier Parkway were direct results of the annexation. Madison says the city's updated strategy isn't, quote, necessarily a plan to annex more land.
This is really a plan to look at the land that has been annexed and make sure that we can serve it properly with road infrastructure, utility infrastructure, that we understand the type of development that's going to land out there and make sure that it's all kind of working in concert.
In a release, Huntsville said that since 2015, the original study area has produced over 16,000 new jobs, added $6 billion in private investments to the tax rolls, and today generates over $700 million annually to the payroll within the area. And as Madison says, the future infrastructure investments, they're not just about companies.
Wherever jobs land, and there are a lot of jobs landing out there, typically people will follow. And once people follow, you start to need schooling. Now, we think we've got a little bit of time, but we anticipate that part of this effort will be looking at potential sites for Huntsville City Schools. Are there places that we could assist Huntsville City Schools with locating new schools to serve the new development out there?
And getting ahead of what could be a multi-year project is part of their process.
We have more land than Las Vegas. We have more land than Atlanta. We're a very large and sprawling city, and we know that as we grow in that area, we want to make sure that it's all kind of planned out, that nothing catches us by surprise.
In Huntsville, Simon Williams, Fox 54 News.
It's been a big celebration for the city of Huntsville's progress all week, and today the city held a topping ceremony for its reconstruction of City Hall. And our Ken McCoy is here with all the details. Ken, you've been giving a lot of historical facts this week. Yes, you have, but I hear you have one more.
Just one more for you, Kanisha. So, topping ceremonies date back to 700 AD when Scandinavians topped their structures as a way to symbolize a job well done and to bless the future inhabitants. And understanding this fact makes this day all the more special.
This ceremony that we're presenting today is a key milestone that we like to do on all large projects.
And what's larger than reconstructing City Hall?
We have over 130 men and women walk through that gate each day to put in hard work to build this project and make a success. And we applaud them for all the hard work that they do.
Those long hours equate to City Hall being over 50% completed, and city officials, including Mayor Battle, were on hand to share in this milestone.
Like the current City Hall, which has served us well since the 1960s, and you can look at this building. When it was built in 1961-62, it was state of the art. Today, it has panels which might slip off. It has rain which may fall in the building, and we've gotten the useful life out of it. Now we're building a new building that will last us 100 years, that will be an iconic building, that will be part of downtown.
Not only will the building be aesthetically pleasing, but it will also provide better access.
The 7-story building with adjoining parking deck will allow us to work much more efficiently and make our offices convenient to the public. And that's one of the things that we really wanted to make sure is the convenience for the public to get in and out and to use city services.
And the employees of the building will have one specific reason to rejoice.
And the most exciting thing out of this building coming up is that we will no longer have buckets in the middle of our hallways catching the rain as it rains and catching the leaks that come through the ceiling there. So we are very glad to be getting rid of the buckets, and that maybe we'll smash the buckets when we actually do the ribbon cutting.
It could be a matter of life or death for someone under cardiac arrest. Oftentimes it requires quick thinking and equipment to save their life. It's exactly what Limestone County Schools is prepared for. Our Jasmine Bird tells us more.
As many of us watched on that Monday night, the Damar Hamlin situation happened and unfolded.
Limestone County Schools Director of Transportation and Athletics, Rusty Bates, says weeks after the Damar Hamlin incident, they began to discuss with their lead nurse how they would respond if a situation like this were to happen to them.
What would be our response? What would it look like? How were we prepared for that?
Bates says they currently have trainers and AEDs at all the Limestone County school campuses. However, they're not necessarily with the trainer at all times.
So we think of the response time of having to run back to the building and get the AED, and we just felt like that there had to be something better.
After that, they began to look at funds to purchase the AEDs.
We're ecstatic to be here to give these trainers their very own AED that they will keep in their bag at all times.
East Limestone High School head football coach Clint Woodfin says implementing these AEDs with their staff and trainer is a very huge benefit to making sure their players remain safe.
But the other thing too that we do with our trainers is we want to make sure we've got every precaution covered.
Bates says all in all, the Limestone Board of Education has purchased 6 new AEDs and
something we hope we never use, but obviously if we do need it, we have it.
We know that nature can bring a sense of peace.
The impacts, people knowing about the impacts that green spaces has on mental health. Yes. I just think that it's really, really underutilized when we talk about mental health and, mental illness, depression, things like that.
57 Northampton is bringing a little fun to the mental health conversation with the Love Hunt.
We're giving people a tour of the mental health resources in this area, and we want to show them it might not be talk therapy if that's something that scares you or you're not comfortable with, but you can go to botanical gardens, you can just go outside in your backyard, you can exercise, you can eat healthy. There are so many components that go into having good mental hygiene.
And introducing those resources is all a part of the mission.
A lot of times we're focused more so on just the physical, but not realizing the two of them go together. Your mental health impacts your physical health, and your physical health impacts your mental health. So especially with resources and definitely changing the funding that's happened for providing resources to mental health, that's the realization that this is really needed.
And they're having a little fun while doing so.
So what the Love Hunt is specifically providing mental health resources while connecting individuals throughout the Huntsville area to mental health resources that are available to them that are kind of considered to be more so like coping skills. So maybe if it's exercising or it's cooking, or it could also just be doing some yoga to be able to relax for the day. We're really just making sure that we push and make everyone aware, especially this being May and Mental Health Awareness Month, that there are plenty of mental health resources that you can connect to here in the Huntsville area.
And the Botanical Gardens is just one of the sponsors.
57 Northampton approached Huntsville Botanical Garden and asked us if we want to offer some programming to support the Love Hunt scavenger hunt. And we said, of course, yes, nature is fantastic for mental health. And so on Thursday, May 25th at 9:30 a.m., we're going to have a nature walk. It's a gentle walk that'll be led by one of our educators. On Friday, May 26th, Light On Yoga Fitness is going to be here to give a free yoga class out on the meadow.
For more info on the week of events, head over to fox54.com. For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Fox 54 put together a special report on the struggles Alabamians face in accessing help and treatment. We also cover basic questions you may have about issues like depression, anxiety, and how changes in your lifestyle can help your mental wellness. You can watch that special report throughout this month here on Fox 54 Plus and on demand on our YouTube page, as well as fox54.com. Huntsville has a rich and unique history, and part of that history is the Madison County Farmers Market. The market is the oldest in the state and has seen many changes in the last 200 years. Our Ken McCoy has the story.
It was approximately around 1814 when
Huntsville was just getting, settled in, and so they had a farmer's market in the basement of the courthouse.
In that basement birthed the oldest farmer's market in Alabama.
From there, they moved to the outside square of the courthouse. Whatever you grew, it was around the courthouse.
Kelly's connections goes far beyond being the manager. Her family history has a special connection.
I've lost a few years after that, but then in the 1950s, it was called the Madison County Curb Market, and it was at the Big Spring. It wasn't until the late 50s, early 60s that they started looking at this location for the farmer's market. There was Matthias Farm, which was my late husband's great-grandfather, and he had a house up at the corner of Cook Avenue and Church Street, and it was called the Tomato House. So then the county got to looking at this property. This was built in the early 60s. It was tore down in like 83 and reconstructed in 84.
In the last 200 years, not only has the market changed, but the farming community as a whole.
Madison County used to be in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They had a lot of rural land left, and there was a lot of local Madison County farmers here. On Saturdays, you could not get down the road. And now, since Madison County is so metro and growing up, and all the farms are being sold off, so now we're going outside the perimeters to adjoining counties.
And despite the changing landscape of the city, Madison's Farmers Market is still a staple within the community.
My grandfather started selling at the farmers market in 1943, so it's been in my family for 80 years this year, and we've always got a huge support from the community. We get to know our customers, and it's just like generation after generation. If you came here with your grandmother as a kid, then now those grandchildren are coming and bringing their kids.
In Huntsville, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Now, the Valley's top teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
54, a familiar number for our news station. Also, the magic number for one math intervention aid. It's the number of years this educator has put in Huntsville City Schools. Meet this week's Valley's top teacher, Mr. Willie Clay. Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School
Subtract
has been home for Mr. Willie Clay
8 from 9
for more than a decade. But within Huntsville City Schools,
I came in the system in 1969, so I've been around a long time.
And if you do the math,
Mr. Clay, is this 51 or 52 years?
54.
His subject.
That's what I work on, basic math.
Mr. Clay does math intervention.
This year, I've been concentrating more on multiplication facts. We have problems getting the children going home and studying multiplication.
And learning gaps following COVID didn't help.
It just didn't work that well for me. Now, some people it might work well for, but I didn't like it, and the kids missed out a lot on that too.
And although there were some struggles, Principal Cheryl Askew says Clay doesn't miss a beat, and
he does not miss a day. People of a certain age don't know much about computers. So when we went on lockdown, Mr. Clay made sure he knew how to get on that computer.
And go home and do some work.
Okay.
All right, good. You remember what I told you, math is a practice.
What inspires him?
The most rewarding thing is when they come back and tell you, you have been, an influence in their life. That's what gets me, a few kind words, But this was a surprise, don't tell you. And I'm sorry, I'm teary-eyed.
And as for retirement plans,
when I can. Right now I can't. But when I can, I will. I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I enjoy this.
Congratulations, Mr. Clay, on 54 years. Learn a little bit more about him on fox54.com. This month, Lockheed Martin, one of the world's largest defense contractors, is celebrating 60 years being in Huntsville. Our Sedona Meadows is live in the studio in Sedona. A big celebration. I'm sure there's a lot in store for them.
Oh, Kenesha, very much so. In their 6 years being in the city, they've grown immensely. They've gone from 50 employees to now 1,800, and they'll keep growing.
What you're looking at right here is the Lockheed Martin Huntsville campus during the 1960s. Here's what it looks like now. A lot can change in 60 years, but their commitment to support mission readiness has stayed the same. For decades, the company has been supporting U.S. Department of Defense and government missions, such as homeland missile defense, hypersonic strike, military aviation, and deep space exploration. Lockheed Martin being one of the first tenants in Cummings Research Park. Mayor Tommy Battle says in a press release in partial quote, "The company became a key player in successful defense and space efforts at Redstone and the Marshall Space Flight Center. Congratulations to Lockheed Martin for their instrumental role in creating and maintaining Huntsville's reputation as the Rocket City." End quote. In 2022, the company added 200 jobs in North Alabama, and they're scheduled to open a new missile defense lab later this year in the Rocket City. Here's a look at last year's groundbreaking.
This building and the Next Generation Interceptor program itself represent the future. Not only the future of our team here, with an anticipated 200 new employees joining Lockheed Martin in Northern Alabama this year, but also the future of missile defense and 21st century security for our nation.
Monrovia Volunteer Fire and Rescue is training on their new aerial ladder truck, and it's meant to fight high structure fires. And as you can tell, it's pretty high up here.
Now we can extend it.
It's just insane, it just keeps going.
It's undergone a lot of maintenance and little other things that we've had to go through to get it into service. So this class is kind of that next step in the process.
The station recently acquired this truck to act as a resource for all of the growing structures, especially high-rises within the communities they serve, whether it's to deal with fires or rescues.
Over the last year, we've had at least 3 or 4 homes where the fire was basically already out of control by the time we got there. And so a piece of aerial apparatus like this really helps to put that fire out really quickly, especially on a larger home.
15 members of the Monrovia Volunteer Fire and Rescue Team are in the final hours of their aerial operator course. This comes after their emergency vehicle training and fire pump course, totaling 96 hours of training. Finally, they're able to take their skills to new heights, testing on their 100-foot aerial ladder truck.
That's so cool.
How it operates, how to set it up, what to do with it, and so that they can be confident in what they do.
You're making that proper placement, and then it's getting the actual rig set up and safe to operate to deploy the ladder.
We have to be able to make sure that we can use it for stream, for putting out a fire, or in rescue mode, which would get us to upper stories to be able to get people out a window.
So whenever you flow water, the waterway gets full of it, and then you can't just retract it without draining it down there, or else it will seal. You see the outriggers behind me, that's really important for the stabilization of the entire piece of equipment. And then it's also important having the trained guys in the bucket that know exactly what they're doing and what their mission is to accomplish.
The team can sometimes average 8 to 10 calls a day, and last year they ran a total of about 2,300 calls.
So people volunteering their time to do this is really, it's a really awesome aspect and shows how community driven they are.
They'll be taking their final exam of the course this Saturday with the hope to have the truck ready for service in the summer.
It is a big commitment, but we're going to be really proud of the guys that we have graduating from this course. It's going to provide a great service to this community, and at the end of the day, that's really what we're here for.
In Monrovia, Sedona Meadows, FOX54 News.
A piece of history is here in Huntsville. The plane that led the D-Day invasion in 1944 was nearly lost, but thanks to the commemorative Air Force, it is now fully restored and taken to the sky once again. Our Ken McCoy has more.
Over 75 years ago, on June 6, 1944, That's All Brother led the main airborne invasion of Normandy.
Our goal actually was to resurrect the airplane and actually to get it to look exactly like it did on D-Day.
Fast forward to today, and that same plane, yes, that exact plane, has made a special landing here.
This is That's All Brother. It's a C-47 that was the lead airplane that flew on D-Day. And what it's going to be doing is going to be given tours, and it's going to be given flights to anybody who wants it. So kind of a unique opportunity that not a lot of people get, especially in Huntsville, Alabama.
And it's completely restored.
We've made a radome that goes on the bottom of the airplane, and when it's on static display, back at home base, we put the radome back onto the bottom of the airplane. So externally, that's about it. Internally, basically the only thing we're missing at the navigator station right now, there's the Rebecca Eureka scope is there. The G-scope is there. What we're looking for still, and hope we can find one someday, is the radar scope that goes with the SCR 717 radar.
Mitchell also explained how Operation Neptune actually worked.
What the Neptune was actually the airdrop portion of D-Day, and you can see all these points right here are multiple bases that the airplanes had to take off from, since there was 800 airplanes.
And they also had a dog.
You can see the pilot right here. You can see he's got something in his arm, and what that is a little black dog, and they actually took the dog on the mission because it was the squadron mascot.
For more on this story and how you can see That's All Brother, head over to FOX54.com. For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
As our weather is warming up, flowers are in bloom, and I'm sure you're starting to see some butterflies emerging. Well, what if you could be a part of a butterfly's life? Let's take you to a place where that's possible.
Here at the Huntsville Botanical Garden, their Purdy Butterfly House is home to hundreds of native butterflies during the warmer seasons.
Look around and see what you see and what kind of butterflies.
And today is the first official open day of the season, with an experience sure to make your heart flutter. Getting to learn about butterflies, why they're important to our ecosystem, and then getting to safely release them.
They'll talk about the life cycle in our butterflies, and then our adult butterflies come in little individual envelopes. They've been cooled down so their metabolism slows down so that they can survive, and we warm them back up, and then we let the public help us release them.
And at any given time, 800 to 1,200 butterflies could be in the butterfly house.
They're just really unique. I learned that word from school. It means one of a kind.
They're incredibly important. All of our pollinators pollinate our plants, which are incredibly important for our food and a lot of other things that humans rely on. They also are helping us increase our biodiversity.
To keep butterfly populations up, providing a safe habitat for them can be crucial, and it's something you can even prepare in your own yard.
A lot of that is planting more natives, incorporating nectar plants in your annuals that you plant, including host plants so that they can lay eggs and go through their life cycle in your yard, provide shelter, a water source.
Avery, a butterfly enthusiast, wore a flowery dress in hopes these beautiful creatures would interact with her, and it worked.
My mama was gonna get a picture, and it landed right on my dress. And then another time we were walking and it landed on my shoe, which was fun.
The best way to interact with the butterflies is to try to find somewhere sunny, because they need the sun, they're cold-blooded. Get close to one of our nectar plants, which is normally where they'll feed, and to either sit or stand, get really nice and still.
Huntsville Botanical Garden will be hosting several other butterfly releases through September.
We're just excited to have people in the butterfly house, and we hope people come visit.
That is it for this look at North Alabama at its best. The Week in Review is one of several online-only original productions you can only find here on Fox 54 Plus and on our website, fox54.com. Don't forget our mobile app for breaking news 24 hours a day. Until next weekend, I'm Kenisha Dees. Thanks for watching.